Have you ever wondered what could ignite the spark of World War III? Today, we're turning our investigative lens onto the tense dynamics between Israel and Hamas. Join us as we navigate through the labyrinth of international politics, focusing on the growing discord that could spiral into global chaos. Our journey begins in the middle of the 20th century, at the aftermath of World War II. Envision a world trying to heal and rebuild, a world witnessing the birth of new within redrawn boundaries. Amidst this whirlwind of change, the year 1948 saw the inception of Israel, a safe haven for Jews after the dreadful experiences of the Holocaust. The establishment of this state, however, led to a significant uproar. The reason? The land chosen for the new country had been home to Palestinians for generations. The creation of Israel sparked a conflict that has persisted and evolved over the decades. Today, this unresolved discord between Israel and Palestinians, particularly with the Hamas faction, holds the potential to fuel a more extensive global conflict. But this birth was not without controversy, as it also marked the start of a long-lasting conflict with the Palestinians, who had been living on that land for centuries. Fast forward to 1987, an era of great change and tumult, when a previously unseen entity burst onto the scene, Hamas. This was a time of political turmoil in the Palestine-Israel region, a period ripe with unrest and agitation. The emergence of Hamas, born out of the fury and desperation of the First Intifada, or uprising, was a monumental event. Hamas was not just any group, a militant organization driven by an unwavering resolve and a clear mission. The purpose at its core was resolute: to terminate the long-standing Israeli occupation and bring into existence an independent and autonomous Palestinian state. This was a goal carved deep into their ideology, a goal they were willing to fight for. The birth of Hamas marked a turning point in the Palestine-Israel conflict. The group sprouted as a fierce challenger to the Israeli state. The tremors of their arrival were felt far and wide, not just within the confines of the region, but across the international community as well. Suddenly, the spotlight was on this group, their actions, their intentions, and the implications of their emergence. Hamas was not just a physical entity, but embodied the collective voice of the oppressed Palestinians, the embodiment of their dreams of sovereignty. Catering to their own understanding of freedom and justice, the group was determined to chart its own path, irrespective of how daunting the journey may be. The tension between Israel and Hamas has been a ticking time bomb ever since. The new millennium brought no respite. As the calendar pages turned over, one by one, revealing a future rife with trouble and uncertainty, the turmoil in the Middle East only seemed to intensify. The first decade of the 2000s was marked more than anything by a heightened sense of conflict, an escalating cycle of violence that seemed to be spiraling out of control. Each year it seemed to get worse. Each year brought with it new horrors, new tragedies, and at the heart of this escalating conflict were three major wars. These wars were not just any wars. They were wars in Gaza, a region that had already seen so much bloodshed and destruction. Each of these wars, one after the other, was more devastating than the last. It was as if the world was stuck in a gruesome loop, with each iteration only serving the level of destruction and despair. In these wars, the violence was not one-sided. It came from both sides, in the form of rockets raining down on Israeli cities and Israeli airstrikes leveling buildings in Gaza. The violence was indiscriminate, taking lives on both sides, causing unimaginable pain and suffering. The world watched in horror. As the violence continued to escalate, the death toll continued to rise, and the hope for peace seemed to fade further and further away. The most recent war, a grim testament to the ongoing conflict, took place in 2021. This was not just another war, it was the most devastating yet. It saw rockets raining down on Israeli cities and Israeli airstrikes leveling buildings in Gaza. But why does this matter to the world at large? The Israel-Hamas conflict is more than just a regional issue. It holds international significance. It is a ticking time bomb in the heart of the Middle East, a region which is already staggering under the weight of numerous conflicts and political upheavals. It represents a point of tension, simmering with volatility that threatens to engulf the immediate and extended geopolitical environment. This conflict has far-reaching repercussions. It invites interference from the superpowers of the world, specifically the United States and Russia. These nations, their considerable influence and vested interests, dive into the fray, reminiscent of the covert operations and proxy wars characteristic of the Cold War era. It's like watching a giant chessboard, with these powerful nations maneuvering their pieces, driven by their strategic and political objectives. Moreover, the Israel-Hamas conflict is not only a physical battle, but a battleground of ideologies, religious beliefs, and historical territorial claims. It represents a clash of cultures and a struggle for identity which resonates far beyond the immediate geographical boundaries. Perhaps most significantly, this conflict sets an alarming precedent for how international law and human rights are interpreted and enforced. It challenges the global community's understanding and application of these laws and regulations, raising questions about their effectiveness and the world's willingness to uphold them. The ongoing violations and atrocities witnessed by the world have raised a considerable debate on what constitutes a war crime and who gets to judge it. In essence, the Israel-Hamas conflict is not just about the two adversaries, but about the wider world. It's a global concern that demands our attention because the outcome affects us all, and it sets a dangerous precedent for how international law and human rights are interpreted and enforced. In the face of such grim realities, what can be done? This question, dear listeners, has persisted for so long it's become a part of the human condition. We find ourselves once again standing at the precipice of despair, looking out at the turmoil and strife that engulfs our world. The conflict between Israelis and Palestinians has endured for generations. It's a story of displacement, of deeply entrenched hatred, of lives brutally cut short. It's a narrative that seems to be written in blood, with no end in sight. But despair can never be the solution, and we should not let it define our future. The answer, dear listeners, lies not in the barrel of a gun, but in the hands of statesmen. It lives in the courage of our diplomats, in their tireless efforts to bring warring factions to the negotiating table. It resides in the power of dialogue, the strength of compromise, the wisdom of understanding each other's perspectives, and the patience to listen. Diplomacy, dear listeners, is our best hope. It's not just a tool, but an ideology, a philosophy that believes in laying down arms and picking up words as weapons instead. The international community must work towards a two-state solution. Israelis and Palestinians can live side by side in peace. It's a challenging path indeed, one that's fraught with obstacles both seen and unseen. There will be setbacks, there will be detractors, but if history has taught us anything, it's that even the most daunting of challenges can be overcome. We just need to have faith in ourselves and in the power of peaceful dialogue. It's a path we must walk. To summarize, the Israel-Hamas conflict, born out of historical grievances and political ambitions, has the potential to ignite a much larger war. This conflict is not just a domestic issue, it's a global concern that commands the attention of the world at large. It has its roots deep into the history and is fueled by a series of complex and interwoven issues that have only worsened over time. It's a chess game of power and control, where each move can potentially lead to an escalation that could erupt into a massive wildfire, engulfing the whole Middle East and destabilizing the entire region. It's a delicate balance of power, where one misstep could shake the of stability, not just in the region but reaching to the corners of the globe. Yet amidst the threats of war and instability, there is still a glimmer of hope. The power of and a steadfast commitment to peace can bridge the gap, bringing an end to this prolonged conflict. It is not an easy path, but it's the only one ensures a future free of violence and bloodshed. Understanding the Israel-Hamas conflict is crucial. It gives us the perspective we need to comprehend the intricate dynamics of regional politics, the impact it has on global stability. Remember, history is not just a record of past events, it's a guide to the future. By understanding the Israel-Hamas conflict, we can better navigate the complexities of our world and work towards a more peaceful future. Prepare to obtain your passport and save your money. You may have to get out of the line of fire as the world draws closer to a global conflict due to the Middle East, as we may be heading toward World War III. Join our channel and share our message. We update our channel 3 times a day with updates on tragic news on the global stage.